why I don't get too excited watching the Panthers. Now, I tried not to, but part of me, we've just been itching for something to just hold on to and just make us happy for the past 6-7 years. And we grasp onto any type of optimism and hope. And then we also end up getting let down again and again and again. And this was no exception. This was worse than a letdown. This was an embarrassment here. The Panthers lose in New England, in Foxborough, 42-13. And the score, it wasn't even that close. It really wasn't. A late touchdown by Andy Dalton and Mike Mitchell, who got his first touchdown. Congratulations to him, I guess. I'm about to finish off this little bit of bottle because just the glass ain't going to do it, you feel me? The glass not going to do it with how embarrassing this game was. As always, hope you have your beverage with me if you're of age, of course. And yeah, man, where do I begin with this Panthers, man? Man, it was just a total team failure on all three phases of the football. Special teams sucked. Defense played uninspired. Offense couldn't move a bouncy ball down a hill. It was horrible. And especially horrible after last week's big win at home against the Falcons. A lot of fans, a little bit including myself, right, we kind of bought into it a little bit. We said, man, that was an impressive performance against the Falcons team that had a big win on the road against Minnesota. So this is something everybody was hoping we could build off of going into this game against the Patriots, because the Patriots, it's not like they're some world beater team. I mean, they're good at best, right? They have a pretty easy schedule. They have a decent quarterback. They have Stephon Diggs, who's, on the latter years of his career, but it's not like they're just unbeatable. They're not the Chiefs, or even the Chiefs aren't that great this year. It's not like they're one of the premier teams right now in the AFC. This is a very, on paper, winnable game for us. And this was another game that was over by halftime. I mean, what was it, 28-6 going into half? Another game where we just came out and just got embarrassed and came out uninspired. And it was just a horrible response after the momentum we built off last week. All that good faith you have from the Falcons is gone. That is gone. That's out of people's minds now. Because the performance you put on here, another blowout on the road, nobody cares about what you did against the Falcons anymore. The Falcons just got to win, right? They're 2-2, I believe. What are we? We're a team that we got a good statement win against the Falcons, but every other game since then hasn't really been that close. We're going to get into it. Let's start with the good takeaways. Good takeaways, not ways. It's good takeaway. The only thing I'll say that was good was that first drive. That first drive definitely set the tone. Well, I thought it would set the tone for the game, but that was one of the things coming into this game from my preview video. I said I want to see if they could start off strong. That was the problem with the Jaguars and the Cardinals games. We started off so slow, and then we put ourselves in a hole, and now we're asking Bryce and the offense to do so much to dig us out that hole. Now the defense, they're up 20. They can, kind of let loose and blitz and pressure all day because there's nothing to worry about here. They're up 25. Who cares if they blitz? They figured we're not going to be able to get a play out anyway, right? So starting strong was definitely very, very important. And we did. We went down, got a great touchdown. That was a great drive. Again, I thought that would carry throughout the rest of the game. I don't care that we mixed the extra point. If it becomes a habit, that's a problem, but I won't put too much into that. Even on defense, I think we got like a 3-and-out, so we were able to get the ball back. And after our failure to convert our drive into points, we can get right to the bad takeaways because it starts right there. We gave up a punt return touchdown to the Patriots, and that just changed the whole trajectory of the game. And that was the thing that I took away from this game. Special teams cost us. This game was, for me, on special teams and coaching. All that hype and good praise we were giving the special teams unit for last week about their coverage and their effort, their intensity, and then obviously the kicking. All that, I don't know, if somebody just put a whiteout through that. It was like it never even happened, because where was the coverage? That punt return touchdown gave them 7 points and took away all that momentum that our defense and that first offensive drive built up. And then even after that, when we get the ball back from their punt return touchdown, I think we go 3-and-out, right? Which isn't the end of the world, right? Still in the 7-6 world. If our defense can put together another stop and we get the ball back 7-6, we can stay in there. But then we almost give up another punt return for a touchdown right after that. It's like, what are we doing here? What is the coverage? What was going on in this great week of practice that we always hear about from Dave Canales? And because of that punt return for almost touchdown, thank God for the kicker who stopped it short. They only had 30, 20-something yards to go get it, so they didn't even need to do much. And I think that was really the story of the game. The Patriots did the least they could do and still won by a healthy margin, just off the box score. Total plays, the Carolina Panthers ran 65 total plays. The Patriots ran 48 total plays. The Patriots almost had as many points as they did plays. Just think about that. They ran 48 plays and got 42 points. Let that resonate. Total yards. The Panthers got 327 yards. The Patriots 307. Okay. Time of possession. The Panthers 35 minutes and 14 minutes of time of possession. The Patriots only had 24 minutes and 46 seconds of holding the ball. Third down. 5 of 14 for the Panthers. 3 of 9 for the Patriots. Just looking at these stats, you would think the Panthers will win by at least a score or two, especially when you look at time of possession. 24 minutes they're holding the ball, and yet they still were able to put up 42 points. That means that we were giving them great field position. It usually means you're giving them great field position or there's a lot of big plays that they're scoring, very quickly. This one was just on field position. They were getting into our end zone or our red zone kind of willy-nilly. Their leading rusher only had 38 yards, right? So it's not like they had a big day on the ground. They were just getting easy ways to score it, and that comes from a special team. That comes from poor punt coverage. Missed field goal, which gave them another opportunity. And then it's 28-6 going into half, and I was like, now it was that old familiar feeling. It's like another game down big by the Panthers. We're going to try to get ourselves out this hole in the second half to make it a somewhat respectable game. But it was just special teams overall, man. It just made this game way too easy for the Patriots. Just way too easy. And that definitely was disappointing, especially coming off of last week. Moving on to the defense, where was the focus? Where was the intensity? Where was the energy here? I mean, last week I complimented the defense. I think everybody did because of the great effort and fundamentals they gave. I mean, we saw great tackling throughout the game from almost every player. I highlighted one play by Mike Jackson specifically where he tackled Bijan. If he didn't make that tackle, Bijan would have been gone for a touchdown. There was none of that here. I mean, Ramondre Stevenson, the Patriots running back, there was a play that I don't know if he scored off this play or I know he got very close to the end zone where it was almost first and goal. He ran for 10 yards and he basically bulldozed his way almost to the end zone. It's like nobody wants to just up and make a strong tackle. Where were these fundamentals? Where was this toughness that we were, put on so much display this past week from the Falcons game? Why didn't that carry over on the plane to New England? It was just such a flat performance by the defense, man. And then even with Drake May, it's not like he did anything spectacular. He didn't light up the stats where I think he had 200 yards passing. 14 out of 17, he passed the ball 17 times, and he only missed 3 times. And I think, I didn't see the stat myself, but I'm quoting this to somebody else. We only got pressures on 5 of those 17 passes. He's way too comfortable back there. Where are the blitzes? Where are the pressures? Where are the ways to kind of get him out of his element so we can kind of throw him off his game? Now, onto the offense, which always gets, I won't say always, but gets a spotlight, obviously, with Bryce Young. But I will stand by, I don't think Bryce Young was the biggest problem this week. I still stand by it was the special teams and coaching. I'll get to coaching in a second. But the offense, man, the O-line. I'll get to the injuries first. David Moore, definitely we hope he's okay. That elbow arm injury definitely looked nasty. It sucks that it was literally the first play of the game that he got hurt. So wishing for, speedy recovery above all else, that his health is good. And then Zavala, another offensive lineman, goes down. So now we're pulling more depth out of the O-line after Robert Hunt and Austin Corbett being out. So that's more struggles for this O-line that was touted, deservedly so, in that first week or two. And even last year, the O-line was pretty solid. But now it's just so many changes with this O-line. And it's not like Bryce is already making great passes with the healthy O-line. So now we're adding more confusion. Injuries sucked. The O-line didn't do themselves any favors. They were unable to open any running lanes for Rico Dowdle. Chuba was able to get a good bit of yardage, though, so it might be just a Rico Dowdle problem. They weren't able really to give Bryce a lot of room for protection there. He had his own struggles as well. Bryce Young did. Made a lot of errant passes there, but I'm just saying the O-line didn't really do him any favors in that regard. This wide receiver room, moving on from this O-line, it's not good, man. And I was one of those people that I saw a lot of the hype about this wide receiver room coming into the season. And I saw this Bryce's first year when we had like DJ Chark and who was the other guy, I believe, but it was like some big signings. Now, fast forward to this year, we have T-Mac, Leggett, Jalen Coker, Hunter Renfrow, all these, great additions or whatever, and this supposed to be great core. I was one of the people that wanted to temper expectations. I was like, let's calm down here. Let's be realistic about who we have. Leggett is an unproven first-round draft pick wide receiver who was so uninspiring that we went and got another wide receiver the following year in T-Mac, right? Hunter Renfrow, veteran guy who hasn't played in how many years? Is he really going to come in here and be a 1,000-yard catcher? No. Jalen Coker, undrafted wide receiver who looked good last year, but he's injured obviously now. He was injured a couple times last year, I believe, as well. And undrafted, right? It's not like we shouldn't expect wide receiver one expectations on him. And if we're relying on Jalen Coker to come back and be the gift from the gods, I think that kind of speaks for itself. And we can tell in this game, even in previous games I pointed out, man, outside of T-Mac, we don't have anybody else that can really take attention away from him on the defense side of the ball. This is where we need a lot of people were saying we can bench Leggett for Jimmy Horn when they're not even the two type of same receivers. So just dumb suggestions. But y'all wanting to trade Leggett, we need Leggett in situations like this. We need a clear, definite number 2 wide receiver because outside of T-Mac, there's nobody else. And even T-Mac today didn't look that great. If we want to keep that energy with Leggett, we got to keep it with T-Mac because there were a lot of drop passes. I won't say a lot. But there were several passes that hit him right in the palm, and then he just dropped. I think he got bailed out by a flag or two in one of those instances. But we got to keep that same energy, man. T-Mac is the dog. He's that dude. And because he is our only kind of weapon on offense consistently outside of like Chuba Hubbard, but the only wide receiver weapon right now, he's going to get a little bit more of a leeway when it comes to the drop passes because of his talent that we've seen. But you got to make those passes, man. And overall, this wide receiver room, it just doesn't have the talent, man. It just does not have the talent. Yet can't come back and make an impact, or even Coker can't come back and make an impact. I don't see how that is improving over the rest of the year. I truly don't. Bryce and T-Mac just did not have the chemistry like they've had this past couple weeks, man. Passes were thrown behind him, over him. Bryce overall didn't play a great game again, making errant passes, didn't really get comfortable, missed passes. And I'm not going to place it all on him like a lot of fans will and say he needs to be benched or whatever. I think anybody asking to bench Bryce at this point, you're being unrealistic of what Andy Dalton can do, and you're not being realistic about the situation in here. What will we gain from benching Bryce exactly for the rest of the year? You're going to come in and let Andy Dalton start, probably suck it up anyway, and now we're just officially canning in the season. Nah, just let Bryce play out this season, see if he's going to earn another contract. And if he sucks, hey, it's another lost season, but at least, we get a high draft pick. And if he's good, maybe he gets another contract and we see what happens. But, yeah, just not a great game from him. And the play calling was so conservative at times, which leads me to my next bad takeaway, the coaching. I don't know what Dave Canales be saying in them locker rooms or in the meeting rooms, but he need to have some more energy because this coaching display was terrible. I'll say it. The play calling was super questionable. Some of the most head-scratching calls that I've seen in a while. Running for it on 3rd and 15, Third and 10, these are obvious passing situations. So I don't know what's the cause of that. I don't know, just Dave not believing Bryce can make those throws, or vice versa. Maybe Bryce not believing the play calling. But they need to get on the same page here, and or maybe it's just Dave's lack of faith in the wide receiver room to make passes. And something needs to change. I know that. And maybe Dave needs to give up play calling, but the play calling was poor, very poor. At the end of the first half, what was the deal with the Hail Mary? It seemed like Dave fought so hard to get those 2 seconds back on the clock. So we're going to fight hard to get 2 seconds back on the clock in a game we're down 28-6 just to do this Hail Mary, which ends up just being an undercut route that leads nowhere. He doesn't try to lateral to extend the play, so it just ends up going out of bounds. What was the purpose of that? What if somebody got injured? Imagine if T-Mac got injured in that play. And overall, man, when you fail on all 3 sides of the ball like that, and there's no energy, there's no fire, there's no intensity, that is ultimately on coaching. That means you didn't come prepared. That means you came uninspired. And even Dave, I guess, thankfully, he took ownership of that in the post-game press conference. He said that this loss was on him because it was an all 3 phases failure: special teams, offense, and defense. That's on coaching. Anytime all that happens, that's on the head guy. That can't happen again. You can't come out failure on all 3 phases of football, especially after special teams was so praised last week for the work they did. And even the team, even in the Cardinals game, that team fought in the second half to the end. And where was this fight? Even in the second half of this game, the Patriots, there was no sort of urgency and intensity. We just came out and was just no huddle up, no let's pick up pace here with the offense. We're just lackadaisical around, trying to set up let's get going. Let's at least try to get some momentum here. Now, going forward versus the Dolphins. So the Falcons game, I said, was the deadline for this team to get it together. And because I said they could not put on a bad performance at home like they did against the Cardinals and the Jags. And credit to them, they did. Now come out there in front of your fans, uninspired like that, and expect it to go over well. You're going to get booed off the field if you're lucky by halftime. If we do happen to come out more inspired and get a W, then maybe we can kind of identify it as a home versus road issue. But again, that's on coaching. Once again, you got to get your players ready and up for on the road and home. I know we had a kind of a tough start with 3 of our 4 first games being on the road, so that wasn't easy. But I mean, you got to win on the road in this league if you want to be a serious team. In addition, I don't know what the prognosis is on Xavier Legette yet. I think he was day to day, but we need Legette back, and we need him to be back and make an impact. T-Mac just has too much intention on him. He's the only guy that the defense really wants to cover or needs to cover because nobody else is making a play. We need Legette back. Hopefully, I thought the Falcons game was going to be his bounce back game because be at home, be in front of the energy and the fans. It could be, rejuvenating for him, but he missed it due to injury. Then he missed his Patriots game. So hopefully with these next 2 games at home, he comes out this game and in front of the crowd and able to put on a nice performance to kind of get his mental back, assuming his injury has subsided or whatever. But yeah, we need him back because the more and more these games go on, it's just clear we need a wide receiver too. And from Canales, I don't want to hear his favorite phrase, right? And it's almost becoming meme worthy at this point, that we had a great week of practice. Because if this is what a great week of practice leads to, then I don't want a great week of practice. Let's have a bad week of practice. Let's not practice at all if this is going to be the outcome here, because that was embarrassing. It can't be a great week of practice and then this is the end result from these practices. What are y'all doing at these practices so that you feel so great about that this is what it's leading to, right? I mean, we got to switch up something. I don't want to hear these same old talking bites. Like I said, I like Canales, man. I think he's a good dude, but these same kind of repeated phrases of great week of practice, or we got to look at film to see what we can do better. We got to take advantage of the opportunities or whatever. All the opportunities we gave them were from special teams. We didn't turn the ball over here. So, I mean, are we going to fix special teams and they be good now? Because that's where the opportunities came from. Or I guess maybe on third down, missed plays. It's the same thing over and over again. And what do we know? What is the definition of insanity? doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Come out uninspired, look dry at home. Man, it's gonna be a long week in Charlotte, for real. Obviously, even though the Dolphins aren't the best team right there currently at this time of the recording, they're winless. You have skilled players that you have to account for. You got Tyreek Hill, obviously, you're an excellent wide receiver. You got A-Chain, great running back. How are we going to account for these skill positions, right? Are we going to move JC and Mike Jack around to not have them just stay in their same area? Are we going to bring some pressure to Tua to make him uncomfortable in the pocket so he's not able to let Tyreek and I think Jalen Waddle, I want to say, let them kind of get their routes developed? Can we bring some pressure? That was one of my concerns from the Falcons game. We didn't get any sacks that game. We got 1 sack this game, but we need to see more consistent pressure on the QB. We're making it way too comfortable for them to already kind of pick apart our slim pickings on the defense side of the ball. We need to make them uncomfortable. We need to shake them up. They're just way too able to run through their game script because we're not calling any blitzes for them. We're not getting to the quarterback. We're not getting past those O-line consistently. So we definitely need to see some pressure and account for those skill players in order to have a successful game. How are we going to come out? Are we going to come out inspired and then fall flat the next drive after, or the next couple of drives? Canal's going to come out and really keep these guys energized and motivated for all 4 quarters of the game, especially at home, I guess, with the fans in the stands. You cannot come out and play a flat, dry game. It is not going to go well, and heads are going to be asked for in Charlotte. So, my prediction overall, I'm going to err on the side of optimism here. I'm going to say for the Dolphins, we squeak out a win, maybe in the mid-20s. Score-wise, maybe like a 27, 24, maybe last-minute field goal. But yeah, I'm erring on the side of optimism here. I think we can. Well, obviously, I think we can, but it's just a matter of execution and just doing it and playing inspired football through all 4 quarters. So, in either case, that's the day after, and this bottle is gone. And there'll probably be much more of these bottles gone if the Panthers play like they just did, because that was embarrassing. Very, very embarrassing performance by the Carolina Panthers. And yeah, no more of those. Please, no more of those. I got faith, but time is ticking, man, and some seats might get warm in Charlotte if we keep having these games that are over by halftime and keep just being an embarrassment on the football field. But in any case, those are my thoughts on the game against the Patriots and my preview for the Dolphins. Let me know what you think. What did you think of the Panthers' performance? Were you a fan of another team? Were you a fan of the Patriots? I got a couple of text messages from my Patriots friends, and of course, they were definitely in my inbox talking crazy. And yeah, I just had to eat that. Had to eat that early too. In either case, let me know. Let's have a conversation. As always, it's Louis from Dark Grapes. Stay hydrated, stay moisturized. I'm out. Peace.